Welcome back to the Rise to Her podcast. Welcome back to my backyard. We're recording again back here. It's overcast in Portland. I'm throwing a party here at my house tonight. So after this, I have to go do a few things with clients and then I get to pick up my cake. It is a witch themed party. So the invitation said it's witching hour. Witches don't age, but it's time to howl at the moon and celebrate my birthday. I'm very excited. We're going to have some ritual stations, tarot, oracle cards. And last week, you might have remembered I was recording right before I headed out of town on my birthday trip with my wife. I love to celebrate my birthday. It is such a special time. And we spent last weekend in the Redwoods. We camped for 2 nights and then we had 2 different Airbnbs. One of them had a hot tub, which was beautiful. And then the other was on a farm property. And there were pigs and chickens, and I got to meet the pigs. And I'm not someone that eats red meat, but I don't believe that's a conviction for everyone. And these pigs were just so taken care of and loved. And I got to pet them. There were piglets, and there was a piglet that grabbed a stick and was running around, and its siblings were chasing it. It was just so cute. And I was like, oh, these are very happy pigs. And it just re-solidified why we need to steward our land well and value the animals that we eat or take care of or, utilize in our world, and the reconnection that can happen when we slow down, when we aren't so focused on survival of, oh, I need this to have more money or I need to make things happen quicker. That takes us outside of our connection. And that leads us to this individualistic society of survival. And when we're solely focused on survival, we are going to feel like crap. And reconnecting this week with both the land, with animals, was a really beautiful opportunity to slow down. When I was camping the second night, I had my full grief episode. We've had some sad things happen in our close community here. So we're grieving some things, and I'm deeply hurting for one of my friends. And in the hustle and bustle of things that have been happening inside of my business and inside of my teams, sometimes it doesn't really allow for time to grieve. And so by being outside, slowing down, sitting around the fire, I just cried. It was nice to just let it go, to allow that dissonance, that heaviness to move through and to fully feel it. It wasn't like, oh, I need to cry, so I stopped feeling it. It's like, okay, this is what it means to be with the emotions. And it didn't just go away all of a sudden, but it felt different. It dissipated through my body, and it allowed me time to just be and experience and feel the depths of my grief. And so I offer all of that to you as a reminder to connect with what's around us, to take time to feel what you're feeling, to slow down. And when you feel this pressure to figure it out, the medicine for that is often the opposite of what you want to do, which is like go and do. Instead, it's I need to go and be. Go and be and reconnect to something bigger than yourself. Reconnect to the magic of the land in your area, of the plants around you, of the opportunity to just breathe in the beautiful air, because we cannot solve a problem by operating inside of the system in which it was created. So get outside of your routine, break the habit that you're currently doing so that you can get a different perspective, so that you can connect back with nature, with divinity, so you can remember that there are paths that you have not had access to, which is a really great segue into what we're going to talk about this week. This week, we are working with the Starborn Archetype. You know the deal if you're watching on YouTube. Here is the beautiful card I'm pulling from the Wild Unknown Archetypes. And just a reminder of why we work with archetypes and why it's so powerful in our work, because archetypes remind us that there is a story beyond what we tell ourselves, that we are connected to something much bigger than the reality that we have created for ourselves, this reality that is based on limitations, stories, and information of what we have already lived. And when we want to go beyond our stories, recreate something new, we need to go outside of our own paradigm. And so this week, the Starborn Archetype is telling us just that. It is a reminder to reconnect with divinity, with spirit. It is the reconnection to our destiny, to the bigger purpose of life, and to go beyond logic. All of you that are listening to this podcast, there is something about you that is a high achiever, whether that is building a business, whether that is excelling in your career, wanting more for the world. You are someone that is driven for a different type of life. And the Starborn archetype is going to be critical in allowing you to connect to that path of least resistance that I talk about so often, living in accordance with your soul code. Because when we embrace the Starborn archetype, we go beyond logic and we play outside of the 3D. I'm going to get out my notes for this episode. So the main invitation this week is to get illogical. Get illogical. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I am giving you permission to act without any logic. If you get a download without going, oh, but do I want to? Just do it. Play for the next 5 to 7 days of just playing with possibility and responding to the opportunities that are being given to you by spirit and by source, and watch how your life will transform. Because the Starborn archetype here is the part of you that has never had to earn its place as a successful entrepreneur, a leader, someone that has money, someone that has the life that they want. The Starborn knows that they are connected to all. And so when we're embracing this archetype, we are in flow, we are in play with divinity, which seems to be coming up a lot over these summer months, which makes sense because we're in the portal of play and possibility inside of Rooted, My Seasonal Living, and Energetic Mastery membership for entrepreneurs, creatives, and leaders. You have the portal of joy, which is recalibrating your energetic field to play with childlike possibilities. And this archetype is sending that home. The Starborn archetype, though, is not about believing in a fate that is external to you, like there's an external force controlling you. And it reminds me of this book I'm reading right now, The Zodiac Academy. I am on book 7, I believe. There's 12 in the series, and it plays a lot with zodiac science and astrology. And some of the main characters are talking about how do we defy the stars, right? If there's something so set in stone, how do we defy them? And so I use that as a reminder that nothing is set in stone for you. There are multiple paths that exist. And the Starborn is about playing with that cosmic spark, right? It is that part of the soul that is so innate to whatever through line exists in our soul force that continues to reincarnate on this human planet. And it is not there to prove anything. It is there to play with possibility. It has always existed. It is not there to prove. And when we forget that spark exists and we are solely relying on logic, which for a lot of us, it has gotten us pretty far, right? You know, for me, it got me to have a master's degree at 22, a leadership position, running a nonprofit, right? It got me far, but it only gets you so far, and then it gets you to burnout. Because that burnout starts to happen when we forget that spark exists, when we're only operating from logistics, when it's only operating from our task lists, our deadlines, how much we are doing. And this Starborn archetype is here as a corrective medicine for the doing. It is the being, the possibility, the playing. So I'm going to give you some really practical strategies to work with the Starborn archetype this week. What came through as I was doing the intuitive reading was about the birth story. Okay, so I don't mean just your human birth story, although there is something really powerful about that, of exploring what was happening when you were born, what was occurring in the collective, what was going on that your medicine was coming into at that particular time your soul was incarnating. But when I talk about your birth story, I also am talking about the through line of your soul contract, which inside of the soul code extraction workshop, if you haven't done that, it's a beautiful way to start to understand your unique soul contract and how you are here to operate in the world and live your purpose. It goes way beyond human design and astrology. Those are great tools to help you work with your soul contract, but this is really unique for an orientation point for your path of least resistance to achieving that soul purpose. And so working with your birth story, your soul birth story as a diagnostic tool, I want you to go back and write down these 3 things. 1, talk about what you desired as a child. This is another exercise we do inside of Soul Code Extracted, but just a lot more in depth. So what did you desire as a kid? What lit you up? What did you enjoy playing with? I loved playing with the idea of being a veterinarian. I was always teaching. Like literally, I would imagine that I had students and I was teaching. Go back to what lit you up as a child. Were you an artist? Were you playing outside? Were you dreaming in galactic spheres? Were you playing around in the woods? What lit you up as a child before anyone was telling you, oh, that's not really practical. Oh, you can't make money doing that. So go back to what was lighting you up. What were you doing with your life before a schedule was in place? This information is going to be critical data for you and as an entry point to that soul code extraction. Because when we see burnout happening in our lives, when we're just exhausted from the day to day, that is starting when we are abandoning the things from that list. And we are doing it in a way to perform, to be accepted. And that is going to ultimately lead to us disconnecting from that starborn energy, that connection to something much bigger than survival. So strategy number 1, utilize what you were doing as a kiddo as a diagnostic tool. Use that as data for what was lighting you up. Again, that's a little peek into what we do into soul code extraction, but we take it much deeper and I tell you how to then apply it to your business and to your decision making as an orientation point, right? Like here's how I can filter all of my decisions and go through my path of least resistance instead of feeling like I'm having to trudge through all of these decisions. Practical strategy number 2 for working with the Starborn archetype is this reoccurring pull as a burnout signal. So what is continually popping up in your reality? And maybe it's something that someone's bringing up that's coming up as like, oh, maybe I should do that or try that. For me, pottery has been something that's been coming up. A few years ago, I took a few months of pottery classes, and that invitation has been brought up for me a lot recently. And I don't know what that means. And the key here is it doesn't matter. That is spirit. That is nature playing with you. It's like, oh, it could be something as simple as like rearranging your energetic field. It could be an opportunity that's going to be available when you go to that 3rd meeting, when you go and do that specific class, or as soon as you do that particular training, it rearranges your code to then be the direct channel for what you need. Okay. If you've been listening to this podcast and thinking, this is exactly how I want to run my business, that is your sign to go deeper. Rooted is my monthly membership for entrepreneurs and leaders who are done running their business and their career on empty. Inside, we work with energetic patterns of each season, pull the archetypes, read what's moving, and use all of it to make clearer decisions, reduce the stress that's been quietly draining you, and build towards your vision in a way that actually feels like you and feels deeply connected to source and spirit. Most of us have spent years mastering the strategy and performing really high, the plans, the goals, the hustle. Rooted is the other half. It is the part that makes the strategy work without costing you everything. It's $27 a month and you can try it free for 7 days. Go to risetoher.com/rooted or click the link in the show notes. Come get rooted with us. I'll see you inside. So when there is something that is resurfacing, that is a signal. When maybe it's something from your past, maybe it's an opportunity, that is usually your body, your field asking for a different kind of use. And it will then realign your channel, realign your energetic field to become more of a magnet to what you are calling in. And then it is also teaching you how to play with those signs and synchronicities and how to be in an ever ongoing conversation with nature. Because this burnout that a lot of us are experiencing, we always think, oh, I just need to rest. But when you go on vacation or you take your nap, rest isn't what is solving the problem. Sometimes it is a redirection towards something that will bring your field, your channel back to life. So look at those reoccurring pulls and just say yes to them. No logic. And then finally, I want to separate these two lines of thoughts that you hear me talk. Well, one that I talk about a lot, which is the path of least resistance versus giving up. How are these two things differently? Because when I talk about, oh, just go to the path of least resistance, right? Some people may think, oh, so you just don't want me to do the hard things. No, that is not what I'm talking about at all. In fact, I specifically am only working with people that are willing to work hard and do the hard things, but in a flow, in a way that feels magical, right? Because when you're building a business, when you are growing your career, it takes a lot of work. But when it is done in a way that is in accordance with your purpose, with your destiny, that work is meaningful. It is purposeful. So the path of least resistance that happens when you're working with your soul code means noticing where things are flowing without forcing them. That does not mean avoiding effort. So this could be like forcing a business model that is really draining to you versus noticing which parts of you are working without feeling like a fight. For example, something for me that feels so natural and easeful. Now, it still takes work because I have to set up the structures. I have to do the research. I have to plan and promote in the 3D. And that's my Witches and Wine event. If you are in the greater Portland area in Oregon, please come out and hang out with us on the last Friday of every month. I do a really cool workshop called Witches and Wine, and we break down the history of certain types of witch paths. For this month, it's going to be the Green Witch. We're going to talk about how to work with the Green Witch, what that means from a historical context, how to re-invite that power into your life, and how to work with it specifically in the Pacific Northwest and the types of herbs and pathways that exist. That feels easeful for me. It's not like, oh my God, I need to make people want to come. I talk about it. I created the structure, and the last one sold out. And this one, we're at like 90% capacity, and we still have a few more weeks till the event, right? It is something that feels good, right? But it also was a download that I got in a meditation. I wrote it down in my app and then waited for the opportunity to bring it up. And it required putting myself out there. And then when I offered it to the host of the winery where I host it, they were like, yes, this is exactly what we've been looking for. So it wasn't like, oh, how am I going to make this work? It was, okay, I got it. I responded. I brought it up when the opportunity presented itself. Perfect. Right? That is a destiny clue, right? That opportunity to work with and play with something fun. When things are hard, that is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to realign. Oh, I have one more strategy written down. All right. So we have strategy number 4, which is going to be free will. Because when we talk about Starborn, there can be, just like we talked about with the Zodiac Academy, this idea that, oh, that means that we're controlled, that this is the one way that things have to happen. But when we start doing that, it goes into this human concept of morality, of right or wrong, good or bad. And that doesn't really exist when we go outside of the 3D plane. They are choices that either get you like closer in resonance with an opportunity or further away. And that energetic field is shifting to give you something that you want or maybe don't want. And so this idea of free will is not about doing things right or wrong. And so when we're playing with the Starborn energy, we are responding and we are playing, because when we recognize that our choices are not based in morality, like we know what it means to be a good person and a bad person. Like I'm not getting into that. That's not who this conversation is for. We're talking about those like nuanced conversation of, oh, should I do this or should I do that? Right. It is really playing with the flow, with what channels through you, and then responding to it instead of, oh, is that the right choice? And when we start to use this power of removing good or bad from these decisions, this will become the direct antidote to burnout. Because that burnout that's caused by that decision paralysis and that self-judgment is keeping us stuck in our head and disconnected from spirit source, Starborn energy. So every choice that you've ever made in your life has gotten you to this point right now. And where you are right now is workable. It is something that we can work with. And so rehashing your old decisions of, oh, was that right? Was that on my soul contract? That is wasted energy. That is an energy leak that is not going to help you. It is burning energy that you need for making that next one. So recognizing decisions aren't about right or wrong. It is about the resonance of responding, of playing with. So how are you going to start to do that? Well, there are two tools that you can use is to begin to understand. One is going to be your soul code extraction. You can get access to that. It's $37, lifetime access. It goes through understanding where you're building your life off of those output, off of that data to be accepted, to perform, to do things the right way. And then how do you get into your soul contract? I give you a really practical framework to understand what your soul code is, how to make decisions for it, and then how to apply that to your business so that you know how to build a business in accordance with that Starborn energy. The link is in the bio. You can also begin to take it deeper once you understand that soul code and use tools like human design, astrology. I'm not a human design or astrology expert, but I do like to understand what's going on in the forces because it's like a qualitative tool. And as a researcher, I love these tools because it's shown over time, these are the patterns that are happening. And when you can learn those patterns, you're learning then how to work with nature, how to work with things outside of self. And so you can get your chart read. You can look for specific placements tied to your purpose, your life path. So that's like your sun sign, your north node. In human design, that could be your type and your strategy. So like I'm a manifesting generator and my strategy is to respond. So when something lights up inside of me, and I want to respond to it, that's a beautiful way for me to use my energy in a way that doesn't drain me instead of just trying to pick things out of thin air. So those are going to be the practical strategies for beginning to work with the Starborn energy. But the biggest thing that I want you to know here is that you have a specific soul code that you have reincarnated with. And when you learn to begin to work with that soul code birth story, those reoccurring pools, understanding how to utilize your energy in different ways, you're able to then play with the opportunities, respond, and start to see how easy life can get. And I want to even correct what I just said, how easeful, how magical life can get. Because life in the human existence can be hard. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be hard. It will be. You chose to incarnate into this plane. But it's like it allows you to start to play with it. I know I've said that word so many times, but that is the energy that's coming through. Play. Soul code extraction will do that, all of these strategies, but in a really full framework way. And so that would be the next step. And it will show you how this method works in a way that will unlock decision making for you and really allow you to start trusting those signs more frequently instead of going back into your head, which is what I see a lot of my clients doing, going, oh, but should I do that first? It's like, if it came through, just respond. Stop getting so in your head, because that is taking you out of the possibility realm and into the 3D black and white realm, which then gets us back into the cycle of overthinking, overworking, overdoing. All right, that's what I got for you guys this week. I would love for you to share this on your Instagram. If you learned something, tag us at Rise to Her. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leave us a comment, Spotify, YouTube. It's really helpful. And you can leave us a review if you liked what you heard. Once we get to 50 reviews, I'm doing a full year giveaway to the Rooted membership. And that is where I teach you how to work with the signs and synchronicities in a really tangible way inside of your business and your life. Every week, I'm giving you ways to take this podcast, practical implementation exercises, meditations, energy work to really reset how you respond, how you build, so we can burn down these patriarchal cycles, this capitalistic way of working, and instead learn to reconnect with nature, reconnect with our soul purpose, and redo the systems and structures that harm and create more magic. And if you're interested in that, you can go to risetoher.com/rooted. You can join with a 7-day free trial. All right. I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you here next Monday. We've had some additional podcasts come out on Friday with some interviews with other people that are living their life with a burnout proof method. So you can check those out too. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, reflecting, and rising into more of who you really are. If this episode sparked something inside of you or reminded you you're not alone, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. To keep the conversation going, come hang out with me on Instagram at @rise2her. I always love hearing what's resonating for you. And if you're craving a space to explore intuitive, soul-led living with others who get it, our community is growing and you're always welcome. Until next time, trust yourself, honor your rhythm, and keep rising.